Hey everybody, this is Christopher Brown from Teed and Brown, and I just want to show you a really cool, down and dirty, inexpensive way that a friend of mine set up in his yard to be able to water new seed that actually covered a pretty large area. So now if you look at all this bare topsoil, it's covered with some hay, there's grass seed in there. There's a lot of work that had to be done on this front yard, and now he needs to get water on it on a regular basis to get it to grow in. But he doesn't have an in-ground sprinkler system, and let's face it, taking out a hose every day and watering by hand or even moving a sprinkler around to a big area like this can be cumbersome and just too much to deal with if you're, living a normal modern life. So I'm going to show you how he and I together set up a system that makes it super simple. And it was just done last Saturday. Today we're recording on Thursday, and I want to show you already down here we've started to see some new seedlings growing in after just 4 days of consistent water. And that's what happens when you have seed and it gets water on a regular basis, it grows. Let me take you through this. Now it all starts with the control clock, and this one right here, it's one of many brands that you can get online or even at some of the big home improvement box stores. It costs somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 to $100 depending on which model you get, but it's really not that expensive, and it's super simple to program and set things up so that it waters exactly the way you want it to. So look at this right here. We got underneath, there are 4 spots for hoses to come out of, and we've capped one of them because we only needed 3 of them for the purposes of this project. And this is number 1, number 2, and number 3, and they are referred to as zones. All you have to do here is schedule this. Right now it's on, which means it's running. You set the clock. The clock is set 14:08, which means it's 2:08 p.m. right now. Start time. You switch between the zones to figure out what start time. Now I've got 0 as the number 4 zone because of the fact that we're not using it. But if I go to zone 1, okay, start time is 1:00. This uses a 24-hour time, so that means 1 a.m. If I click to zone 2, starts at 1:45. I set it up for 45 minutes later, and I set zone 3 up for 45 minutes after that at 2:30 a.m. Okay, next question. How long? Right there. Well, 30 minutes. So I set it up each zone. Well, zone 4 is 0 because, again, that's capped and not being used. Zone 1 is 30 minutes, zone 2 is 30 minutes, and zone 3 is 30 minutes. How often? Every 1 day, and you can play around with that, plus minus, to figure you can do it every 2 days, every 3 days, every 7 days, whatever you want. But we're trying to water seed in this instance, so it's every 1 day. And there you go. It's really that simple to get it set up. Once it's in here, you open up the water here, which it already is, and it doesn't let any water through until it hits the start time, at which point it opens up just the one valve and sends the water through that one hose. It does that for the 30 minutes, and then it waits until the next start time where it sends the water through the next hose, and so forth and so on. Let me go show you how these sprinklers work. First things first, we tested the sprinklers by putting 3 on a series. So the hose goes into the sprinkler, and then another hose goes out and into the next one. So you can see we have 2 here right now. We tried 3, but the pressure wasn't strong enough, so we weren't able to get very good coverage. They kind of dribbled out. It just wasn't enough. When we backed it off to 2, it worked well. So we knew we could put 2 sprinklers on a zone. I'd like you to step in here and take a look at what I'm going to do on this. Now I'm going to back off on this completely. Now if you look, I just had it set so that it's kind of a straight line. It's getting broken up a little bit. You're going to see at the far end where a lot of the water's coming out, it's actually overshooting the soil area and watering the grass over there, which is fine, but that's not really what we're looking to do. I want to shorten that up so it's just kind of getting to the edge of the topsoil area. So what I'm going to do, if you want to come in here close and take a look, I'm holding this from moving, so you see that's a straight line there. There's a little screw here that I can dial in, and that kind of breaks up the water. And then in order to set these sprinklers to be able to go back and forth either a 180-degree pattern or a 90-degree pattern or full circle, at the bottom of this you're going to notice a couple of stops that kind of move around. Just with a little bit of effort you can shift them a little bit. What those do is those stop the sprinkler as it goes around. The bottom part here is going to hit it and then click, and it's going to cause it to turn back the other direction. That's the idea, is you're going to need to just adjust these to get it to go in the pattern that you want, which might be 180 degrees back and forth. It might be 90 degrees if you're on a corner. You certainly don't want it spraying into your house or your windows. And if you want, you can actually turn this up. You turn that all the way up, so right there, that's down there, and that's what's hitting those stops. If you turn it all the way up, then this becomes a 180-degree turn, and it will just continue going around in a circle without ever stopping. Okay, so this actually has a little sort of disruptor that'll break down the spray, and if you watch, I'm going to kind of get there, it's going to kind of, so you can see it shortens it up and spreads it out a little bit more just by kind of getting in the way of the water a bit. There we go. Now that looks a little bit better. It's not going to be quite so much overage. And there you have it. That was actually pretty straightforward. This took us maybe about an hour to set up on a Saturday afternoon, and we got several thousand square feet of topsoil being watered every single day with no further effort, with very little money invested into it. So if you don't have an in-ground sprinkler system and you don't have the time to be chasing around the grass seed with a hose, take a few minutes on a weekend, get the necessary components at your big box store or even online, and set yourself up your own temporary sprinkler system. Until next time, see you on the lawn. I'm Christopher Brown.